I don't know if this happens to you, but sometimes I will listen to certain Taylor Swift songs and be like, oh my God, how has she gone through the exact same experience that I had and also feel the same way about it? There is something about her music that really helps us feel less alone in the world. It validates our experience and our emotions. And even though many of us have never spoken to her or know her at all, we still feel seen when we listen to her music. And there is something about being seen that can be so incredibly healing. So in honor of Midnight's coming out, I thought that it would be fun to review her entire discography and choose what I believe to be are the most healing songs from each of her albums. I also chose one from the vault to make it an even 10. I'm not going to be ranking these songs in any particular order. I'm just going to go through them chronologically, but definitely pay attention because I'm going to be going over which song I think is the most healing of all time when I get to it. Also, this list is just my opinion and just my interpretation of her songs. Of course, if there are other songs for you that have been the most healing, let me know. Leave a comment. I'd love to hear which songs for you have really resonated and why. So first up is her self-titled album, Taylor Swift. And the song that I chose from this album is really reassuring for anyone who's feeling lost, like they don't know where their life is headed or what they even want. Even though this album was Taylor Swift's first album and she was just a teenager when she wrote the lyrics, I really think that some of them have a lot of wisdom, and so I want to go over a few that for me have really resonated. So the first line I want to go over is, "Tomorrow's just a mystery, oh yeah, but that's okay." Life is full of uncertainty, and I think that this statement really helps to remind us that we never know what's going to happen. We can try our best to plan things, but we just don't have control over all of the outcomes in our lives. As long as we believe in our own resiliency and our ability to handle whatever crosses in our paths, we're going to be just fine. The other line that I love is, "I'm alone on my own, and that's all I know." I think it's a really empowering statement to make, and there's something really comforting in knowing that no matter what happens in your life, you always have yourself to depend on. And perhaps my favorite line is, "Got the sunshine, what more do I need?" Taylor Swift is doing something very clever here. She's using nature as a source of gratitude, because when we are feeling lost or hopeless in our lives, sometimes it is hard to feel grateful. But when we turn to nature and try to remember to appreciate those small little moments, like feeling the wind in your hair or the sun on your skin, it can help us to exercise our gratitude muscles. So if you haven't guessed it, the song that I chose from the self-titled Taylor Swift album is "A Place in This World." Okay, next up we have Fearless. If you've ever gone through a rough patch where nothing in your life is seeming to work out, nothing's going your way, and you're worried that it's going to last forever, then this is the song for you. Just the title of this song is giving me healing vibes, because when we want to feel healed, we almost always have to go through some kind of transformation or change. I mean, that's why so many people go to therapy, right? It's because they want something in their lives to change. The situations we find ourselves in can change, how we react to something can change, and who we are can change. So if you haven't guessed it yet, the song that I chose from Fearless is Change. But let's be honest, sometimes we do find ourselves in situations that we have no control over and that we actually cannot change. And when we cannot change something that's external, that is when we have to look internal, inside of ourselves, for that change. I do want to touch on a very healing lyric from this song as well, which is when Taylor Swift says, "We sing hallelujah." And even if you aren't religious, there is something about this term that serves as a reminder that we are a part of something greater than ourselves. Hallelujah is an expression of hope and a belief in the good to come. And so I really think that this song is healing because it helps us to keep the faith in ourselves and in our situations, and that things can and will change and get better. All right, we're on to the third album, which is Speak Now. And the song from this album might not seem like it's that healing at first, but this song contains so many layers of depth and also therapeutic interventions that I'd really like to talk about because I think they can help us to heal. So in this song, Taylor Swift imagines the person that she's talking about as a small child, someone that's freely chasing butterflies, crawling into their parents' bed, getting help when they can't reach something. She envisions this person growing up as an innocent child before the monsters caught up to them. So if you haven't guessed it yet, yes, the song that I chose as the most healing from Speak Now is Innocent. But if someone has hurt you, Thinking about them as a child or even a baby can help you have more compassion towards them, because the things that happen to us and how we interpret those events can have a profound impact on the way that we behave as adults. Many people are not aware of the defense mechanisms that they've created for themselves and how those behaviors can negatively impact other people. Imagining what someone else has been through might actually help you to understand why they act a certain way. You don't have to forgive them, you don't have to accept their behavior, but if you can expand your narrative of how you see them, you actually might be able to release some of that anger and disgust that you yourself feel. I think that this song can offer up a lot of inner child healing work as well when you apply the lyrics towards yourself. Because we all make mistakes, right? We all sometimes make the wrong choice or do the wrong thing. And the way that we respond to ourselves when we do make a mistake is usually something that was taught to us by our parents. So if forgiving yourself and learning to accept yourself is difficult, it might be because you never learned how to do so from your parents. What I love so much about this song is that it really helps us to practice self-compassion and have loving kindness towards ourselves. When Taylor Swift sings, "Your string of lights is still bright to me, who you are is not what you did, and today is never too late to be brand new." These are all very powerful statements that can help you shift your own self-talk and learn to reparent yourself. And if that isn't healing, then I don't know what is. Okay, we've landed on Red. And I think we all know that Red is full of healing gems. So it was really difficult for me to choose a song from this album. And full transparency, it's not All Too Well. However, I do love that song, and I actually wrote a whole blog post on how I think it really helps to normalize your breakup. So if you do want to hear more about what I think about All Too Well, check out my blog post, which I will link in the description. So the song that I did choose is technically about romantic love, but I want to share a technique that I started using back when I was in grad school, whenever I heard a love song, but it wasn't quite resonating with me in my life. And that is to apply the lyrics to yourself. So when I listen to this song, I envision going on a fun date. I imagine being treated with kindness and respect. I imagine having a beautiful connection with someone, and I imagine just enjoying my time. So why not use that imagery and apply it to yourself? Take yourself on a fun date. Imagine treating yourself with kindness and respect. Envision having a beautiful connection to yourself, and learn to simply enjoy your time that you spend with you. So if you haven't guessed it yet, the song that I chose from Red is Begin Again. In this song, Taylor Swift says, "On a Wednesday in a cafe, I watched it begin again." And I think that it can be about whatever you want it to be. If it isn't about romantic love right now, it can still be about those things that you're looking for from a partner, like interest in your life, deep compassion and understanding. But instead of expecting someone else to give it to you, give it to yourself. And of course, just the words "begin again" reminds us that every day, every moment really, is an opportunity to begin again. All right, we've landed on 1989, and the song that I chose as the most healing from this album can be about a lot of different things. It could be about addiction and substance use and finally getting sober. I think there are elements of healing from a bad breakup and cleansing yourself of a certain person. And I think this song is also about trying to heal from some kind of traumatic experience and finally feel clean again. So yes, the song that I chose from 1989 is Clean. But if there is one common thread woven throughout the lyrics of this song, I think that it would be about the healing power of letting yourself cry. And did you know that when you cry, you're actually releasing oxytocin and endorphins in your brain, which can help to relieve pain? When I hear "rain came pouring down," I imagine tears streaming down someone's face. And the line, "when I was drowning, that's when I could finally breathe," this makes me think about surrendering to your emotions and letting it all out. So many people that I work with are afraid to feel sad and to just let out their emotions. And I think a lot of the worry comes from this idea that once I start, I'm never going to be able to stop. But the reality is, when you let yourself cry, when you give yourself that cathartic release, that can help you to move through your emotions. So this song is healing because it reminds us that there is absolutely no shame in letting it out, letting yourself cry, feeling what's real for you, and giving yourself that emotional cleanse that you need. Next up, Reputation. So the song that I chose as the most healing from Reputation is about admitting defeat. It's about failing. But it's also a song that helps us to focus on the good things in our lives, even if we're going through a dark period. It's a song about finding comfort when you need it most. And I think it's also about recognizing your own worth when something in your life isn't going right, or regardless of what other people think. So I want to mention that yes, I know that this song is also technically about having a love in your life who built a fire just to keep you warm and all that jazz. And there is no doubt that having a partner that you can depend on and trust, especially when you're going through a tough time, can be so incredibly healing. And I don't want to deny that. But I still think that this song can be incredibly healing if you direct the lyrics towards whatever kind of comfort you have in your life. I actually think of my cat when I hear this song because when it came out, my partner and I were going through a rough patch and I couldn't really direct the lyrics towards him, and so I directed them towards my cat Squiggles, who is here right now and wants to say hello. And she truly does love me like I'm brand new. So if you haven't guessed it yet, the song that I chose from Reputation is Call It What You Want. But like I mentioned in Begin Again, you can also direct the lyrics of this song or any love song towards yourself and use it as a self-love song. Think of yourself as being fly as a jet stream, high above the whole scene, loving your own self like you're brand new. And you can learn to build your own fire to keep yourself warm. Becoming a source of comfort and light in your own life. Call it what you want. Yeah, call it what you want to, but I would call it healing. All right, we've landed on Lover. And the song that I chose from this album, I think, is the most healing Taylor Swift song of all time. And that is because this song is about a dark night of the soul and what it's like to emerge from that kind of experience. A dark night of the soul is exactly what it sounds like. It is a very dark, grim, often very emotionally painful experience that one can go through in their life. When you're in it, it totally sucks. You can feel very depressed. However, if you can figure out a way to surrender to the experience and accept what is happening, a dark night of the soul is a tremendous opportunity for growth and transformation. I do want to backtrack for a moment to Reputation and the line from Look What You Made Me Do, where Taylor says, "I'm sorry, but the old Taylor can't come to the phone right now." Why? Oh, because she's dead. This is exactly what happens when someone goes through a dark night of the soul. An old version of who you are dies. It's exhausting and very painful. But when the old version of yourself dies, the ego dissolves. And when the ego dissolves, you can find your way back to yourself, your true self at your core, the self that is full of light and love. So if you haven't guessed it yet, the song that I chose from Lover as the most healing, and also the song that I think is the most healing of all time by Taylor Swift, is Daylight. I myself went through a dark night of the soul. It lasted about 2 years, and I can confidently say that I am no longer the person that I was before I went through it. It was a very humbling experience. While it was happening, I didn't know it was a dark night of the soul, but it was terrible. And if someone told me, "Oh, you're going through a dark night of the soul, don't worry, you'll be out of it one day and everything's gonna feel great," I would have not believed them. I would have been like, it's not worth it, because I was in such a state of despair for so long. But now that I'm years past it and I do think I'm better for it, I am grateful for parts of that experience. But so many of the lyrics from this song describe what it is like to go through a dark night of the soul, and also what the transformation afterwards can feel like. Like when she says, "Been sleeping so long in a 20-year dark night, now I see daylight." I mean, this to me, it's all about emerging from a dark period in your life and finally being able to see all of the hope, all of the positivity, and all of the good things that surround you. I also interpret the line, "I don't want to see anything else now that I saw you," as really glimpsing that true light-filled version of yourself. And not just glimpsing it, but knowing now that you've accessed that version of yourself that things will never be the same. And of course, the last line, "I want to be defined by the things that I love. Not the things that I hate, not the things I'm afraid of that haunt me in the night. I just think that you are what you love." It's so true. You are what you love. And even that Dumbledore quote about remembering to turn on the light, I think that's what this song does. And I think that even if you're still in that dark place and you really can't see the light, this song reminds us that it's still there as long as you can remember the love. Because the love, that part of you, is really the true you. Okay, on to Folklore. So to be honest, I didn't really see this song as that healing until I saw Taylor Swift talk about it in the Long Pond studio sessions. But once she did, I mean, wow. This song is like therapy incarnate. She even references going to therapy when she talks about pouring my heart out to a stranger, but I didn't pour the whiskey. So yes, the song that I chose from Folklore is This Is Me Trying. So the first therapeutic theme that I want to talk about in this song is the fact that so many of us are trying our best, and it's really, really important to acknowledge that. Not just for yourself, but also for someone else who may be struggling with mental illness or who is going through a tough time. Because we often do not have control over the outcomes. All that we have control over is the trying. But what I also love so much about this song is that it holds space for someone who is trying and things still aren't working out. It's in our nature when someone is struggling to try to offer up a solution, but oftentimes there is no quick fix. And sometimes just letting someone be with their feelings and supporting them through those feelings is the most helpful thing that you can do for them. I think that listening to this song really does provide a safe space for us when we're feeling disappointed or sad that something isn't working out and there's nothing we can do to fix it. All we can do is feel supported in those emotions that we feel. So we're at our last Taylor Swift album, Evermore. So if you listen to the song that I chose from Evermore closely, it's almost like watching Taylor Swift try to process all of these conflicting emotions and thoughts that she's having at once. And I think holding space for contradictory emotions is one of those practices that is really, really difficult to do, but so important if we want to move forward on our healing journeys. So in this song, we hear a sense of peace along with deep sadness when Taylor Swift says, "Honey, when I'm above the trees, I see this for what it is. But now my eyes leak acid rain on the pillow where you used to lay your head." When she says, "I would have loved you for a lifetime, leave it all behind," I hear trying to hold on while also trying to let go. Two ideas that really can't exist together, but somehow she's able to create space for. And I think if this song does anything for us, I think it really helps to expand our perspective on what it means to be happy. There'll be happiness after you. There was happiness because of you. Both of these things can be true. There is happiness. I think learning to expand our perspective as we are healing is part of the process, and she does such a great job of doing that in this song. That's right, I chose Happiness as the most healing song from Evermore. All right, we have landed on The Vault, and this is the last song that I'm going to be going over that I think is one of the top 10 most healing Taylor Swift songs of all time. So I could probably count on one hand how many times I've actually listened to this song because it is so incredibly sad. This is a song about grief, it's about losing someone, and it's about remembering them. The song that I chose from The Vault is, of course, Ronin. So for those of you who don't know, Taylor Swift wrote this song after discovering a blog called Rockstar Ronin, which was written by a mother named Maya Thompson who was documenting the fight that her 4-year-old or 3-year-old son was having with cancer. Taylor Swift took excerpts from the blog to write the lyrics of this song, and she also named Maya Thompson as a co-songwriter for the song. So before I delve deeper into how this song can help us heal, I just want to say that grief is a very complicated experience, and there is no right or wrong way for someone to go through it. I mean, there are theories out there that can kind of help you better understand grief, but the reality is once you've lost someone and you're trying to heal yourself from that, there's no quick solution. There's no easy answers. But the one thing that Taylor Swift does in this song that I think is so incredibly healing to do when we lose someone is to remember them. Remembering helps us to process our emotions. It helps us to face reality and understand how the loss has changed us. Remembering someone is a way to honor their memory and keep it alive inside of us. And remembering someone is an expression of the love that we still have for them even once they're gone. Most of what this song is just memories and really just remembering the love that was and is still there. I'm not going to talk about this song anymore because it is so emotional, but I do think listening to it can be incredibly healing. So I have decided to include one more healing Taylor Swift tidbit, if you will. It's not exactly a song, but it is a juxtaposition of songs that I've never heard anyone else talk about, but I think is so thoughtful and healing. So if you've ever listened to the bonus tracks of Evermore, Right Where You Left Me and When It's Time to Go, have you noticed how those songs go so well together? In Right Where You Left Me, Taylor Swift talks about still being in the corner I haunt in some kind of restaurant, right? The song is all about not being able to move on from someone and literally just continuing to be right where someone left you. However, she didn't end the album with that song. She added one more to it, which is When It's Time to Go. She helps to move us from this place in a restaurant where we're stuck and not ready to move on to a new song where the dinner gets cold, the chatter gets old, we ask for the tab because we know when it's time to go. The reason I love the juxtaposition of these two songs so much is because she's giving us space to be where we are on our journey with Right Where You Left Me. If you haven't moved forward yet, give yourself some time to be there in the restaurant. Feel your emotions there. If that's what's true for you, that's what's true. And you will know when it's time to ask for the tab and get up and go. When I realized how well those songs really fit together, I just felt like I needed to acknowledge it somewhere. So thank you for giving me the space to do that here. So tell me, how did I do? Do you think I picked out the most healing Taylor Swift songs? Are there others that have resonated more with you? And if so, let me know in the comments. I have no idea what Midnights has in store for us, but you better believe I'm going to be creating another video processing whatever comes out of that album. So make sure you subscribe to my channel if you want updates. You can also share it with someone who you think might enjoy it, and leave a comment. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for being here, and happy Midnights listening to you on the 21st. So if that line is true, that I am what I love, I think that means that I'm a cat.